talking about the qualifications of becoming a geologist. And it was very important to me to promote that field because we have so many kids that are graduating from college. They got massive student loans and they can't find a job. Now, obviously, we can't do anything about that particular situation, but as it stands now. But what we want to do is catch the people that are going into college, catch the individuals that are pursuing career objectives and maybe don't know what they want to do. A lot of times when you enter into college, you just do general education because you're not sure where you want to go. So this field, in the field of geology and mining, this is something that we need. There's a huge demand. So I just kind of want you to expound on that, and then you'll be able to pay your college loan back.
Well, and I think we need to catch kids before they get to college.
That's right.
We need to catch them in grade school.
In grade school.
And you need to capture
because 8 years is not that long off.
You got to capture the kids that are interested and have an aptitude and a desire to learn math and science.
Okay.
The basic understanding and a good basis of math and science is critical. So kids that graduate from high school that haven't had advanced algebra and trigonometry and geometry and physics and chemistry, those aren't our target kids. We want kids that have studied this, that are good at it, that then can be groomed or mentored in college to study the right subjects. It's going to take a minimum of a bachelor's degree in geology or engineering, and I have a master's degree. If they want to really advance in the business, then they're probably going to at some point have to go to graduate school and get a master's degree in geology or an MBA or a master's degree in engineering to really be able to move up in the corporate ladder and responsibility in these companies.
Now, why do you think this is not something that's being promoted? We don't have images. We don't see people, trying to offer this as an option. I mean, look, there's no media here. People are not, it's like the whole country is being dummied down. Mm-hmm. This is your future. This is something that can sustain your life, sustain your family. Why isn't this field promoted enough?
Well, it's a small niche, it's a small industry. And until the last 7 or 8 years, commodities as a whole, oil and gas, gold, copper, potash. You probably don't even know what potash is. It's agricultural mineral essential to grow crops.
Well, when you said potash, you know what I started thinking. That's why I wanted to be quiet and let you explain it.
So all these things were not in great demand, and prices were down. And so what we see, it's a contrarian industry. And when financial services are ruling Wall Street, commodities have generally been down. Now we are in a super cycle, a 20 to 25 year secular bull market for commodities. We are 8 years into that right now. It started in 2003, more or less. So we're 8 years into this. So we know there's probably another 10 to 15 to 20 years to go in this secular bull market where commodities will be in demand. And it really has to do with the growing middle class in Asia, demanding electricity, demanding cars. The world's our oyster now. We have the internet. I can get on my phone and send a text to my buddies working in China right now, and they have it in 2 seconds. And so what that has done with television and the internet, it's let all the people in the world that want to be upwardly mobile, they want to be like us. They want to be consumers. They want to get into their BMW and turn on, and they want to walk into their house and turn on lights. Most of the people in the world still don't have electricity. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
And 2/3 of the world doesn't have the ability to switch on a light and get electricity. So from that point of view, there becomes this giant demand for copper because you can't build electrical line without copper. I mean, you know about this right now, all these people, all these hoodlums that are walking around and stealing copper wires.
Pookie and Ray Ray.
Yeah, Pookie and Ray Ray are out there stealing copper wire. I read in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch this morning, a guy's electrocuted because he broke into a substation in St. Louis and gets electrocuted trying to steal copper wire. Well, that just tells you the demand for copper, and that's coming from China and India for the most part. People there want electricity, want to turn on light, a switch, and get electricity. They don't want to live in the dark for 12 hours a day.
And that's
who
the
could blame
problem.
them?
That's the problem. So many people are in the dark. They're in the dark psychologically.
Right.
In the dark. Now, there's been a lot of talk here at the Expo about companies and mining and various businesses that are happening overseas. What's going on in our country? We live in the United States. So can you just kind of expound on the mining companies here in the United States? I mean, we have gold, we have silver, we have copper here in our country. It may be hard to find, but a geologist like yourself knows where to dig.
Well, we have vast resources in this country, but over the last 20 years, we've given away our mining industry, much as the way we did our oil and gas industry in the 70s and 80s. In the 90s and 2000s, we gave away our mining industry. And a lot of that has to do with the difficulty of developing mines here, because we have the NIMBY crowd, not in my backyard crowd, and the banana crowd that build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything crowd, and they continuously try to stop mining development. Well, what that has done is it's made us dependent for most of our mineral resources in this country. We have lots of copper, but yet we're still a net importer of copper. We have all the natural gas in the world, yet because we can't develop infrastructure, we are unable to tap our natural gas resources and convert from an oil-based economy more into a natural gas-based economy. So we have these difficulties in this country that have prevented us from being self-sufficient. So more and more we're dependent on unstable, geopolitically risky, or unfriendly governments in the world for our mineral commodities, just as we are dependent on unfriendly parts of the world for
it's
our
mind
oil.
Control.
Yeah.
It's not teaching people to be self-sufficient and independent and to look within. So many people in our country, when a natural disaster, we're depending on the government. We're looking outward for help, and they're not going to help us.
Well, and they haven't. A good example is Hurricane Katrina.
Exactly.
And who solved that problem? It wasn't FEMA. It wasn't the federal government. It was like guys like Rich Redez. You know what Rich Redez, who's hosting this show, you know what he did during Hurricane Katrina?
Tell us.
He loaded up his pickup, hauled his boat down to New Orleans, and was rescuing people himself. There's a whole contingent of people from the Midwest.
Individual people got together.
And they saved New Orleans. They saved the people in New Orleans. It wasn't the federal government.
I'm so glad you said that, because Delise Williams, my camera operator, her husband, who's the king of house music, Farley Jackmaster Funk, loaded up his truck and took food and supplies down to New Orleans. And that's what it's going to take in our country. We have to collectively help each other as citizens.
Well, and we do that. And the problem is we become too dependent on government to be our safety net.
Honey, that government cheese is nasty. You don't want none of that. You want the good stuff.
And it's really the goodness of people, and it's generally the goodness of people with money or who are willing to give money. So capitalism rules in our country as it should, and those people are naturally giving. We don't need government handouts. We need to be self-sufficient and use our fellow man and their goodness for our safety net. And the guy that most eloquently expresses this, in my opinion, is Ron Paul, and he says we don't need all these government handouts because people are generous. And
exactly.
Nobody wants to see his fellow man down in the dumps. We want to help people, but they need to want to be helped and to help themselves.
Well, Mickey, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us This has been very educational, and I am so appreciative of your time. And we'll be right back after.